Hello, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. We're coming live to you from the Klamath County Chamber of Commerce, where we're actually speaking with Joe Spendolini and Heather Tramp. Joe is the the Government Affairs Committee chairman here at the Chamber of Commerce, and Heather is the executive director. And guys, the chamber was in Salem earlier this week. What was going on?
We took our annual delegation up to Salem to meet with legislators. There were 13 of us that headed up to talk about issues that are important to our community and talk about the opportunities that our community provides to the rest of the state.
I think both our members and the citizens of Klamath County would be very pleased and hopefully proud with the way we represented them. It was a very impressive group, well-dressed, articulate, that really brought the important issues to those that can make a difference, those that are in Salem voting on legislation, those that are in Salem running agencies, creating rules that we all have to live by, not just personally, but also our business members.
And who all did you guys get to visit while you were up there?
We met with a wide variety of elected folks. Of course, we met with our Senator Linthicum and Representative Reschke. We also met with some of the key elected officials from other areas, Senator Roblin, some of the people that are connected to us through different projects or with our connection through Highway 97. We also met with some agency heads that were important to the message we were relaying. The director of ODOT, DEQ, the Water Resources Department. So really, we developed ahead of time a list of priorities that we wanted to go up and talk about, and then we identified the people that were key to get that message from us.
Yeah, it was pretty neat, actually. When we were setting up the appointments, we had no resistance at all with any of the agencies to send their directors to meet with us. And they came to us, with the exception of a couple. We also met the Secretary of State. He has, Dennis Richardson is our Secretary of State. He has audit authority over all the other agencies within the state. So he's kind of an important guy to get to know and establish a relationship with. And I think for us here in Klamath County, specifically here at the Chamber of Commerce, I think we were extremely successful at deepening some of the relationships that we were able to develop last year, as well as establishing new ones. And those relationships, I think, will pay dividends for our community going forward. What do you think?
I agree. That is one of the most important things that we do. Obviously, we have our messages to deliver, but making sure that they know Klamath is paying attention to what they're doing up in Salem, and that we're going to go up there and be a voice for our community and primarily for our business community, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
We're gonna let people know how we feel and how the decisions up there affect us here in Klamath.
And joining us were all three county commissioners. We had Nathan Chapaski, the city manager. We had Colonel Smith, the base commander. We had a representative from KC. I mean, there was a really good group, I think, of community leaders that made up our delegation that went up there. And again, I firmly believe made a very positive impression on everybody we met with and spoke to.
I agree.
Can you discuss any of the contents of those meetings at all?
Well, sure. We had a list of what we called our legislative priorities, and those are the things we actually went around to different legislators, different parties. The Democrats have the majority in both the House and the Senate in Salem, so the chairmanships of all the different committees are led by Democrats. So we met with both Democrats and Republicans on issues that we had determined in advance were issues we needed to pursue some action on. And we sold our position to these legislators for them to consider as they're voting on these different issues. And I think Heather can walk through a few of them.
Yeah, I think one of the items that we were really excited about was House Bill 4035. That has been sponsored or written by House Minority Leader Mike McLean, and it provides tuition assistance for our National Guard. I was surprised to learn early when we were developing these priorities that Oregon is one of the few states that doesn't offer that tuition assistance to our Guard members. And there's a lot of guard that are employed and work here in Klamath County and the rest of the state, and we felt that was an important one. So we went up to voice our support for that bill. We went up,
House Bill 4016 as well, which I'm sure everybody that's watching this understands. We're in the middle of a drought. We have not had hardly any precipitation at all this winter. Unfortunately, that's going to impact our irrigated agricultural community. Agriculture in Klamath is about a $600 million a year contributor to our economy. So the things that happen in agriculture we all care about, we all care deeply about, because it has such a tremendous impact. So one of the bills that we went up to support is House Bill 4016, which it does not reallocate any of the water. I'm sure everybody watching this has been paying attention, knows about adjudication, knows about all of the issues surrounding irrigation water and how we're using it here in the basin. 4016 allows those that receive water from the project to determine how that water is best utilized. And so we were up there supporting that, and I got to tell you, both on House Bill 4035 and 4016, the reception was very good. So I'm hopeful that we'll see positive result on both of those.
In addition to those, one of the messages that's been important the last 2 years continues to be transportation. When we look at Highway 97 as both a connection to the rest of the state in the event of the earthquake that's predicted, but also our opportunity to transport commerce from our community through our community. Highway 97 continues to need some improvements, so championing that message was important to us. Cap and trade is one that could negatively affect business in the state of Oregon and our economy for the whole state and here in Klamath, so we were opposing that as well as some air regulations that are being proposed. That's another item of opposition that we've been working on since last year. That could negatively affect employment here in Klamath, and with little benefit to public health.
Yeah, that's very true. And the other thing, if I could add to what Heather was just saying, Highway 97 is a crucial artery when it comes to delivering commerce throughout the entire state. Again, I'm sure everybody's heard of the Cascadia event that they're predicting. It's not if, but when it's going to happen. Highway 97 has been identified as the probable route that's going to keep the state moving. Without Highway 97, everything is just going to come to a screeching halt when the Cascadia event, which is a big earthquake, occurs. When we're up there, we often bring up Highway 97 and the things we'd like to see occur on Highway 97 that would benefit not just us, but the entire state. The other thing, one other thing, we also discussed, we have a shortage of craftsmen here in our community. For many, many, many years, decades in fact, the push in high school has been to get good grades so you can go on to college and get a college degree so that you can get a good job. Well, now what we have found is we have a shortage of skilled craftsmen. And as our economy has been improving, our local contractors are finding it extremely difficult to find the plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and cement workers that are needed to develop the community. We've got businesses looking at us all the time. And again, as the economy continues to grow and improve, it becomes more and more likely that we're going to need more commercial buildings. And when that happens, those commercial buildings are going to employ individuals, and those individuals are going to need places to live. All those things require skilled craftsmen to complete. So we pushed heavily the need for technical school. We've got to do something to start growing our own skilled trades right here at home.
And I'll mention, we talked about Secretary of State Dennis Richardson that we met with, and I think it's appropriate to share that we were really there to thank him for his work last year. Last year we had identified that one of the barriers to potential economic development was a backlog of discharge permits locally and within the rest of the state. And when we met with him last February, we respectfully asked him to audit those discharge permits for the state, and we really went back because those have begun to move along. He was able to audit that. DEQ stepped in and put in a process to start addressing those. Some of those were over, including here in our local community, were over 20 years delinquent. And so that really came from us going up last year with a group and asking them to put some resources into this. And so our meeting with him this year was really to thank him for his work on that.
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, both points. We're seeing some fruits of the labor just from our visit last year, and we're anticipating that this year, again, it might take a little while, but we'll start seeing the fruits of that visit as well. It's all done because I got to tell you, every single one of us that went up, we love this community. Mm-hmm. We all want to see this community succeed. So we went up there to do anything and everything that we needed to do to make sure that we oppose the things that would hurt us and support the things that could help us.
And I think the other thing I'd add to that is how important it was for our community to be seen in Salem. It's easy for the folks from Portland and Eugene to get to Salem and talk about the things that are important to them, but it's a long drive, and they meet at a time that the roads are terrible, quite frankly, right? You're dealing with ice and snow. And so it's fun to go up there and see the reaction from the legislators who comment on, wow, that's a large group from Klamath that came up here in February on a long drive to meet with us. And it does make an impression, and that's why we really want our membership to be involved. Send those letters, do those things, let us know what you're thinking so that we can be that voice. And I want to thank everybody that went with us this year and last year, and for taking the time out. It's a couple days of travel on some icy roads to go up and be the voice for our community.
And I would also like to add that I'd like to thank the folks that made some financial contributions specifically to the Klamath County Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee. Those contributions fund these trips so that we can protect the interest of Klamath County. So a huge thank you to all of you that helped pay for these trips. We don't want to leave the impression of Klamath County to our state capital to come from the mouths of others. We want to go up there and deliver that impression ourselves. And I think both last year and this year, I think we changed a lot of minds about what Klamath is all about, in a good way.
I agree.
Well, very good. Now, if there's any one thing that happened this week while you guys were up there, kind of one major takeaway, what would it be?
Yeah, I don't think I could come up with one. I think there was a series. It was mentioned by a number of speakers that took a look at who it was we were meeting with that were very surprised that we were actually meeting with department heads, agency heads, and not their underlings. So I think the good thing, one of the good things that I walked away with is that we were getting the proper attention from the proper folks that are in positions that can help us the most.
I think my thoughts would probably reflect Joe's. I think I've often said you can't make a difference if you aren't willing to get involved. And I think that's what I felt about our trip. People were willing to meet with us. They wanted to hear the things that we had to say. We heard often that the people they usually hear from up in Salem are lobbyists. And so when the chamber comes with business leaders, people from the community, and the county commissioners, that group that goes up there and shares those thoughts, in some ways it feels like they hold more weight, more credibility than the lobbyists do. And so for that reason, it's just really imperative that we continue these trips, that we continue to build and deepen those relationships with our legislators and the ones from the other part of the state, and just stay involved and tell them how these things are affecting us.
Yeah, and if I could, me personally, I was extremely impressed with the folks that came up there with us. We had all 3 county commissioners, as Heather explained. We had the base commander, we had Nathan Trapesky, we had community leaders that went up there, and I think all of you watching this would be as proud as I am today with how the group conducted themselves and the image of Klamath County that people up there now have of us. Very positive in my opinion. So.
Very important.
Well, very good. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. This is Joe Spendolini and Heather Tramp with the Klamath County Chamber of Commerce. Again, want to thank you for everything that you guys have done this week, going up there and chatting with those folks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very
It's all
good.
about Klamath.
All about Klamath. Well, guys, as we wrap this up, I do want to give a quick shout out. One of our sponsors helped us be here, is Pacific Crest Federal Credit Union. They actually have a thank you to you guys as well. Thank you to the Klamath County Chamber of Commerce for ensuring the voice of the communities is heard in Salem. Thank you, guys. Once again, this is Brian Gailey. We're live with Klamath Falls News.